Hi guys, my name is Kelly, and I read Dostoevsky's White Nights. I chose this story because it sounded interesting, and I was happy to find out that my thoughts were correct, at least in my opinion. In this video, I'm going to do three things. I'm going to give a summary of the story, I'm going to explain what the major ideas in my opinion, and I'm going to discuss how successful the work was in my opinion. So the summary, White Nights is about a man who falls in love with a woman he meets on the streets, but his love is not returned. The protagonist is unnamed. He's a loner. One night, while walking along the streets of St. Petersburg, he sees a very pretty girl all alone. She's crying, so wanting to help her and drawn by her beauty, he approaches her, but the young girl is alarmed, naturally, so she walks away. Luckily for him, but not so lucky for her, another stranger follows and threatens her. The narrator comes to her rescue, and the girl is grateful. They quickly become friends, and for a series of nights engage in animated conversations about their lives, loves, and hopes, etc. The protagonist never imagined that he would someday meet a princess in real life. All he ever did was daydream about imaginary adventures, romances, etc. So the young girl's name is Nastinka, and the protagonist soon falls passionately in love with her. But the girl is in love with some other guy. This other man was a lodger in her apartment a year ago, and he went away to take care of some business in another city. But he promised her that he would return in 1 year if she still loved him, and then he'd marry her. When the guy failed to show up a year later, she became miserable and thought he had abandoned her. The protagonist becomes a willing listener at this point. He helps her cope with depression. He, helps her talk it out, helps her write letters to him, etc., etc. However, he also confesses that he's deeply in love with her. The girl becomes confused and reluctantly professes that she loves him too, though it's clear she doesn't love him in the way that he loves her. However, eventually the girl's first love does show up, and without a second thought, she flings himself into his arms, and the protagonist is left alone, in his own miserable existence again, and his nights of bliss have ended. So that's the summary. Major themes and stuff. So the biggest theme I found in the story that really came out to me was unconditional love. Dostoevsky shows this to the narrator. Through everything, he never stops loving Nastinka. Not when she says, "I love you because you're not in love with me." Not when she tells him about her own lover who she's still pining after. Not when she leaves him heartbroken and alone again. And not even when he gets a letter about her marriage, an invitation. In fact, in the last paragraph, he even says, "May your sky always be clear. May your dear smile be always bright and happy, and may you be forever blessed for this moment of bliss and happiness which you gave to another lonely and grateful heart." This shows Dostoevsky's optimism of love and how he looks at emotions. Successfulness. So, White Nights, in my opinion, definitely succeeded in portraying unconditional love in a romantic way. It also did a great job of showing Dostoevsky's worldview at the time of his life. This was before he was imprisoned, before he was almost executed, before his many, many illnesses. That kind of stuff can, I guess, really harden a man. So it's good to see the optimistic side of him before that. This story shows a kind of bright, optimistic outlook on life, but in a very emotional way. There are a lot of really emotional romantic scenes, or romanticized scenes. Even the title White Nights is a romanticized idea. It's referring to the short season in St. Petersburg when nights don't get completely dark. So there's that. Though the story seems to end on a sad note, it really doesn't. The narrator had his heart broken, sure, but in the end he was happy to have just a moment in his life when he wasn't alone, a moment of bliss, even if it was just a moment. His last sentence shows this well. He says, "Good Lord, only a moment of bliss? Isn't such a moment sufficient for the whole of a man's life?" In conclusion, I thoroughly enjoyed the story. It had love, loss, acceptance in a way that, though it seemed overly emotional at first, it really showed the reader Dostoevsky's state of mind well, and it really portrayed a lot of optimism. I highly encourage all of you to read it, and I hope that if you do, you enjoy it as well. Thank you.